Like, they just know. And somebody knows somebody that can't have gluten.
Right.
And that, to me, is fascinating. And why we don't talk about that on the 5 o'clock news makes no sense, because when we were kids, this wasn't happening.
Not at all.
And so it's fascinating. I think our kids have really led the way for so many of these things to happen, because I think now people are more acceptable. Right. They accept it more.
Yes.
That there's something to do with diet.
I truly believe, they're here for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard the phrase "canaries in the coal mine." They're sharing a message with us.
Absolutely.
And they are waking us up as to just how toxic our environment is, and we need to clean it up.
Yeah.
In order to stop the epidemic, and in order to increase overall health for people, we need to clean up our environment and get rid of the toxic overload, because it's destroying our youth.
Well, I'm sure your other 2 children are now healthier because of Gannon.
Oh, absolutely. My entire family, friends, relatives. In fact, my stepmom told me the other day, she said, "Heidi, you know what? Gannon has influenced my life more than anybody else that I've ever met.
Isn't that
Because
beautiful?
of what he's gone through and what you've gone through, I live my life differently now." So it's such an opportunity for us to learn from these children, and it's a blessing in disguise, if you can say that at some times, even though it's
hard sometimes.
Oh my gosh, it's so difficult, but it is a blessing, and it's teaching us something that we wouldn't have learned otherwise.
Well, and I can tell you, for me, and I know we've had conversations like this, but for the viewers that are watching, yes, it's a blessing, and yes, it's hard, and your life does change, and I'm not going to lie, it's not cheap. It's not, I know people say you can do it on a budget and you can do this, but honestly, majority of the foods are expensive. Some of the treatments are very pricey. A lot of them are not covered.
Right.
A lot of the therapies aren't covered. Now, there are people out there, don't get me wrong, that know how to fight that fight.
Yes.
I happen not to be one of those.
Right.
I wish I was. But I can tell you, though, that what I've learned from my own son is, we were upper middle class.
Right.
We could go on vacations. We had nice cars. We thought we were living, quote unquote,
Right.
the American dream. And we're not like that now. I mean, now granted, we kept our house, thank goodness, and
Right.
we still have nice things, but it put things into a totally different perspective.
Absolutely.
And things that I used to think were so important, I don't anymore.
They're not.
And I think when you're talking about their children are here to teach us, it's not just about living healthier with our diets, but it's just about living healthier in a world of things that are just not important.
Right. Living smarter.
Yes.
And getting your priorities in line.
Absolutely.
Yes, our priorities have changed. I mean, my husband and I both say it all the time. Our lives were so different before we had children, before we had Gannon. Our list of priorities is completely different than what it used to be, and it's great.
Yeah,
it's a positive move.
And it's so funny, because if you would have asked me that 7 years ago,
Right.
would I be happy living in the house that I'm still living in? I'd be
Right.
like, oh, I'm not going to be in that house.
Right. Right.
Like, what do you mean? No. Or
I'm not going to be driving that same car.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wait, I've been wearing this. Wait, that picture you took me 5 years ago, I had that same outfit on.
Right, exactly.
Like, if I'm lucky enough to still be able to get into it, right?
Right.
But I mean, you would never have thought that those things that used to be so important, because I think a lot of us and a lot of people watching, we try to keep up with the Joneses, what I call it.
Absolutely, and that's something I talk about a lot too, is making sacrifices. I speak to a lot of parents that say, oh, I can't afford that, I can't do this, I can't do that, and then I start talking to them about their lifestyle, and they're not wealthy people, but they forget that they do have luxuries that they can do without. If they sit down and really make a list of really what do they need to get through their daily lives, they realize that they can take out a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
And that can pay for treatments. I've had to do that. We've had to change the way we purchase everything. I mean, and there are ways to do it. And there are great ways to do it. As far as, like, let's just talk about children's clothing.
Yeah.
It can be so expensive and they grow so quickly. Mom-to-mom sales are fantastic. And you get name brand designer clothing for a couple bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, you can save so much money in just clothing your children. I mean, it just starts there. There's many, many other ways, of course, but I've learned to do everything on a budget. I've had to, so that we could help our son.
And it's humbling, I think, in a lot of
is.
ways. And a lot of times people think the word humble is almost a negative thing, and it's really not. It's humbling in the sense that it reminds you of what's really Friendships are really important.
Yes.
Families are so important. You start to choose your friends differently.
Absolutely.
You start to look at your family differently. I mean, I look at my son now and I think, gosh, you know, who would I have been if he didn't have autism?
Different.
You know, I think I'm not even proud of maybe who I would have been because, and I didn't think I was a horrible person.
Right.
But I don't think I would have been proud now knowing this life that I live.
Right.
I mean, I joke sometimes. I used to get so annoyed even at the towel cupboard. Like, everything in my house had to be perfect. And you would open the towel cupboard, and if, like, the towels weren't folded a particular way, it would completely bug me, you know? And now it's like, we're lucky the towels get into the cupboard, right? And,
Exactly.
and it's so funny because those things used to bother me so much. And now, you know, I'd rather get down on the floor and play with my son.
Doesn't matter.
I don't care where the towels are. They could be folded on the back porch for all I care. But, you know, those are things that I think we learn as we're going through this journey.
Absolutely. I used to get so stressed out about my home, too, keeping it clean and everything. And then I finally, you know, several years into this journey, I thought, what is important? What do people want? What do I want people to remember about me?
Yeah.
That I had the cleanest house in the neighborhood, or that I did everything I could to help my kids and be with my kids and to play with my kids?
Yeah.
That's what I want to be remembered for. Not
Yeah.
my home. Who cares?
Yeah, and when you're 90, you're going to be like, yes, I had the cleanest floors ever.
Exactly.
You know?
My laundry was just folded just so.
Yeah, yeah. Or it's like, are you going to remember, gosh, you know, when I got down on that ground and I read that book to my son, or my son said I love you for the first time.
Yes.
Those are the things.
And I was there to hear it.
And you were there because you weren't washing the dishes.
Right.
You know, and so I think that we put so much guilt on ourselves as moms. You know, I can't speak as a dad because I'm not a dad.
Right.
But I know as moms, we put so much guilt. We have to be perfect.
Yes.
You know, and I know right now you and I are both dressed up, right? But I also know what you and I look like when we're at home. Because
Quite a different picture.
We talk about this, right? Like,
Right.
You know, and so I'll have a baseball cap on, glasses. I'll put some lipstick and maybe some earrings, but I'll have a tracksuit on.
Yes.
You know, going from point A to point B. But when we come to the conferences, we know, oh man, we got to get dressed.
Right,
you
right.
know. But I think it's important for people to know that yes, we can look put together.
Right.
We still are put together on the outside, but that's not our main focus. Our main focus is our families.
Right.
You know.
And we're real people.
Yeah.
Just like everybody out there.
Yeah.
And we've had to make sacrifices and changes, but we're getting through it.
Absolutely.
We're getting through it, and we're changing our priorities. And yes, we do have different personas, if you could say that. You know,
Yeah.
we have our very put together, and we have our mom in the jeans and the
Absolute baseball cap.
baseball cap, no
Yeah.
makeup. You know, we go through our daily lives just like everybody else does.
Yeah, if you showed up at my house on any given day, but probably before noon,
Right.
I'd be in my pajamas still because I'd been playing with my son, doing
Right,
this, doing
right,
that.
right.
And so, it's so funny how the world will look and say, that must be easy for them.
Yes.
You know, and it's, even though we are so full of hope, it's not easy, but it's manageable and it's a life lesson. And what happens is it becomes this kind of warm feeling of, wow, it's actually, when you said a blessing,
Yes.
it becomes that blessing. And I think it's so important that, we talk about this too, is surrounding ourselves with people
Absolutely.
that believe in us, believe in our children, and even your friendships. Having anybody who's negative
Right.
in your life, you just want to get out. I said it when I spoke yesterday, the Debbie Downers.
Right.
You don't want the Debbie Downers because that's going to just suck.
It brings you down.
The
and
energy.
You can't, right.
Yeah.
You can't be around that.
No.
You have to surround yourself
And
with positive people.
We're going to have bad days.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody does.
Everybody has bad days. Even if we didn't have a child with autism,
Right.
we would have bad days. You could have bad months, okay?
Right.
But yet, you know what? You learn, you pick yourself up, and you move forward. And so when I listen to when you speak, I love your lectures. I just do.
Oh, thank you.
I love looking at the videos. I love, I love seeing Gannon grow.
Yeah.
And I always feel bad because I forget to ask about the other two children because I'm so focused on Gannon.
Right.
Now, I know a lot of people don't know what you do as your platform, right? Because I know you do something really phenomenal, really trying to get your message out there. Would you like to share what you do?
Oh, well, I sure would. Hey, give me the opportunity. I'm all for it. Yes, I compete in pageants. And, some people have really the wrong idea about women that compete in pageants. And I'm going to say this right now. Just like any competition, whether it's sports or, a modeling competition or whatever it may be, dance, there are always people in it that are doing it for the wrong reasons. And people tend to focus on them. And that's something that just really, really upsets me because that's not what it's about. You know, the few people that are on TV and they have this poor interview and they're not acting like, you know, a professional woman should, those aren't the women of pageantry. The women of pageantry that I know and that I compete with are strong, self-motivated women that care about making a change in the lives of others and care about community service, serving others, getting their word out. And that's why I choose to compete in pageants. It's because there are a lot of platform-based pageants out there that their mission is to get you up and in the public speaking about your platform. And of course mine is autism awareness and biomedical treatments and getting the word out of hope, sharing my story of hope. So that's my motivation for competing, and I'm so thankful that I've been able to compete and be successful and to be out there, because every pageant that I have done, it has opened a door in the autism community. It's opened a door for me to help a family. I was so blessed 2 years ago to have a mom come up to me who had heard me speak at a pageant event, and she ran up to me and she said, "I just want to say thank you, Heidi. Thank you for competing and thank you for sharing your story." And I said, "Oh, well, you're so welcome." And she said, "No, no, no." She said, "I have twins with autism, and they were 5 years old when I heard you, and I had no hope at all. And I heard you speak, and I made an appointment with your physician, and 3 months later, one of my sons spoke his first words."
Oh, I love it.
That's my win.
Yeah.
That's the crown on my head.
Yeah.
To know that because of the opportunities that I've been given, I've been able to help change a child's life. I mean, what a gift is that? I mean, that is the ultimate goal and the ultimate, I guess, the ultimate crown, the ultimate prize at the end of the road when you're competing. And I have a competition coming up next week, actually, that I'm very excited about. I'll be competing for this title of Mrs. United States. And again, being able to share my story with the judges who are from all over the world.
And maybe have never really understood autism.
Exactly. It's my time to put the story out there, as well as to all the other women that I'm competing
because
with.
they may know somebody, or they may have a child one day that has.
I met another mom who I'm competing with, and she has 2 children on the spectrum. So we've already been conversing on Facebook and private messaging and sharing our stories, and you know, that is going to help me as well, because the more people I can network with, like you said, we build a bigger family.
Absolutely.
And we can reach out and help more
and
families.
We can get to those children earlier.
Yes.
And get to those moms who, when you first get the diagnosis, you go home and you are sad.
Right.
And get them out of bed faster.
Yes.
So then they understand they're not alone.
That's what it's all about, that they're not. I mean, how many times did you feel so alone when you first got the diagnosis? Nobody understands my world, because you're looking around and your immediate friends, they have no clue.
No, yeah, and they're calling me, telling me, "Oh, my child won't stop asking why."
Right.
You know, "Oh, my child won't be quiet," and I'm wanting my kid just to speak.
Right.
You know?
I remember talking to a girlfriend, and I simply said, "What are you doing right now?" And she said, "Oh, I'm cooking dinner." I said, "Well, where are the kids?" "Oh, they're on the front lawn playing." And I remember thinking, oh, what a gift.